Almighty God, by whom alone kings reign and princes decree justice, and from whom alone cometh all counsel, wisdom, and understanding, we, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that we, having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace, and tranquility of the island, and the
If you're a YouTuber and you want to save hours managing your library, you need TubeBuddy. Come check out how you can edit your end screens, cards,
and true Christian love and charity, one towards another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
You may be seated. This honorable House now resume its sitting. It is indeed a great honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to the sitting of the Honorable House of Representatives on Tuesday, September 17, 2024. I would like to extend a special welcome to those who are joining us online via the various social media platforms and the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica live stream. Call of the roll.
Mrs. Holness, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. Holness, Mr. Clark, Dr. Chang, Ms. Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malahoo Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Terrelong, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Main, Mr. Davis, Mr. Witter, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brownberg, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Cousins, Ms. Crawford, Ms. Daly, Ms. Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Ms. Hamilton, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Enriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Lee, Mr. Miller, Mr. Montague, Ms. Morrison, Mrs. Nita Garvey, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Samuda, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Siblis, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Wright. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam. At this time, let us welcome Ms. Tamisha McIntyre, our Senior Legislative Counsel, who has joined the team at Parliament. Thank you. Statement by ministers. Announcement. Announcement.
Laid on the table of the House are the following: annual report and audited financial statements of the Rural Water Supply Limited for the financial years 2019-2020 and 2020-2021. Annual report of the National Land Agency for the financial year 2010-2011. Annual report of the land divestments for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Jamaica Mortgage Bank for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual report and audited financial statements of the Culture, Health, Arts, Sports and Education Fund for the financial year 2022-2023. Annual report of the Tourism Development Company Limited for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual report of the Jamaica Business Development Corporation for the financial year 2021-2022. Annual report of the Export-Import Bank of Jamaica for the financial year 2022-2023. Annual report of the Southeast Regional Health Authority for the financial years 2016-2017, 2017-2018, and 2018-2019, along with their respective ministry papers numbered 40, 41, and 42 of 2024. Annual report of the Harmonization Limited Group for the financial years 2015-2016, 2016-2017, 2017-2018, and 2018-2019, along with their respective ministry paper numbered 43 of 2024. Annual reports of the Harmonization Limited Groups for the financial years 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and 2021-2022, along with their ministry paper numbered 44 of 2024. Annual reports of the Forestry Department for the financial year 2014-2015 with its ministry paper numbered 45 of 2024. Minister papers entitled Cabinet Agenda Issues numbered 46 to 49 of 2024, dated April 8, 15, 22, and 29th of 2023. Ministry paper numbered 50 to 53 of 2024, dated May 6, 13, 20, and 27 of 2023. Ministry paper numbered 54 to 56 of 2024, dated November 6, 13, and 20 of 2023. Ministry paper numbered 57 to 59 of 2024, dated December 4, 11, and 18 of 2023. Ministry paper numbered 60 to 62 of 2024, dated January 15, 22, and 29 of 2024. Ministry paper numbered 63 to 64 of 2024, dated February 5 and 12 of 2024, and ministry paper numbered 65 to 68 of 2024, dated March 4, 11, 18, and 25th of 2024. Ministry paper numbered 69 of 2024, entitled Subscription to Available Shares under the Inter-American Investment Corporation Second General Capital Increase. Annual report of the Financial Services Commission for the year 2021-2022 and its related ministry paper numbered 70 of 2024. Annual report of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica for the year 2020-2021, along with its ministry paper numbered 71 of 2024. Annual report of the Planning Institute of Jamaica for the year ended December 31, 2022, along with its ministry paper numbered 72 of 2024. Annual reports of the Jamaica Customs Agency for the years 2015, 2016, 2016, 2017, and 2017, 2018, along with its ministry paper numbered 73 of 2024. The Auditor General's Department certified appropriation accounts under Head 28058 for the Judiciary, Head 28058 recurrent for the Judiciary for the year 2020 and 2021, and Head 15,000 recurrent, the Office of the Prime Minister for the year 2021-2022. The Integrity Commission's investigation report into the statutory declarations submitted by the Most Honorable Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, for the years 2019-2022 in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings and that he made false statements in his statutory declarations by way of omissions contrary to the law and its indicative ruling. Integrity Commission's addendum to report of investigation conducted into the statutory declarations submitted by the Most Honorable Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister for the years 2019 to 2022, in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings and that he made false statements in his statutory declarations by way of omissions contrary to the law. Integrity Commission's report of investigation concerning allegations of irregularities and conflicts of interest in relation to the operations of the Carl Ratchford Staff College Department of Correctional Services. Integrity Commission's report of investigation concerning allegations of impropriety and irregularity in the utilization of the limited tender and direct contracting procurement methodologies in the award of contracts to Nubian One Construction Limited for the period January 2016 to August 2019. The Jamaica Gazette Supplement Proclamations, Rules and Regulations 1461, Volume 147, dated Wednesday, August 14, 2024, number 234, enclosing the Emergency Powers Parish of Clarendon Regulations 2024 under the Emergency Powers Act. The Jamaica Gazette Supplements, Proclamations, Rules and Regulations 1867, Volume 147, dated Friday, September 13, 2024, number 297, enclosing the Emergency Powers Parish of Clarendon number 2 Regulations of 2024 under the Emergency Powers Act. And finally, the Jamaica Gazette Supplement Proclamations, Rules and Regulations 1457, Volume 147, dated Wednesday, August 14, 2024, number 233, enclosing the Constitution of Jamaica. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, just a question. I saw in the press release that the Integrity Commission had circulated that there is a special report under Section 36(3) that was submitted to the Parliament. Could you, Madam Clerk, indicate whether or not there is another report that has been received and has not been tabled today?
Madam Clerk.
Thank you. We have tabled all the reports that we have received from the Integrity Commission that would have arrived at the Parliament prior to its commencement today. Thank you.
So we are all clear on that all reports from IC has been tabled. Members, just a little reminder that when you stand to speak, you have to allow me time to turn your mic on, or else you won't be heard or recorded. Bills brought forward from the Senate.
The following is a message from the
Go ahead, madam.
The following is a message from the President of the Senate. To the Honorable House of Representatives, I have the honor to advise the Honorable House of Representatives that on the 26th day of July 2024, the following bills were passed without amendments. An Act to amend the Representation of the People Act, an Act to amend the Income Tax Act, an Act to amend the Road Traffic Reprieve and Nullification of Prescribed Notices Act, Thomas Tavares Finson, OJ, CD, KC, JP, President of the Senate.
Petitions, papers, report from committees, notice of motion given orally.
To notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read the first time a bill shortly entitled the International Church of the Foursquare Gospel in Jamaica, Incorporation and Vesting Act 2024. And Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move to introduce and have read the first time a bill shortly entitled the Financial Investigations Division Amendment Act 2024.
Question and answers to questions.
Will the House Leader indicate when the outstanding questions will be answered?
I must admit, Mr. Speaker, that I have not been briefed, but when I was looking at them and when the minister, relevant parties are here, I hope to hear from them. Okay? Hopefully soon.
Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business required notice. Motion relating to sitting of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business.
Which will be provided today. And the Minister of Education and also the Minister of Labor and Social Security. I ask now, Mr. Speaker, for a recommittal of the item statement of ministers. Recommittal.
The request is on the floor for the recommittal. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it. Honorable Favour Williams, MP, Minister of Education and Youth. You now have the floor, madam. Before you stand, madam, are there copies for a perusal of the members? Madam, you can stand and it will be distributed. So, to save time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the recent Category 5 Hurricane Beryl dealt a massive blow to the infrastructure of the education sector, but not to the resilience of our parents, teachers, and students. A total of 362, or 36% of our schools, were damaged by Hurricane Beryl. The destruction was in all parishes, but the severity was felt most in the parishes of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Clarendon. 81 of the 108 most damaged schools were in these parishes. Mr. Speaker, Hurricane Beryl struck on July 3, giving us only 8 weeks in which to pick up the education sector from its knees and get the massive school infrastructure back so that students, teachers, and administrators had a chance of returning to school for the new school year on September 2nd, 2024. Mr. Speaker, we did it. We went steadfastly fixing the schools, keeping our focus on the anticipated September 2 deadline. We prioritized the 362 schools into 3 priority groups. Priority 1, 107 schools that were so damaged that they would not be able to be reopened unless work was done to restore them. Priority 2, 139 schools that were damaged but would not be prevented from reopening, and the work would be done while schools are in operations. Priority 3, 116 schools with lesser damage and work that will be done while schools are in session. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to note the resilience of the education sector, along with the dedication and hard work of the teams at the Ministry of Education and Youth. While infrastructure was damaged, our resolve was not, and we have built back better, and our system is coming back stronger. So Mr. Speaker, I knew it was very hot air on the part of the opposition when their spokesman on education declared that most schools will not be ready for September. Mr. Speaker, what can go so? He and his team clearly had no idea of the work being done to get our schools ready for September morning. We are ready. To all our students all across Jamaica, we're making the education system better for you. Mr. Speaker, the education sector is in full gear. Today, we released the PEP5 results to regions and to their schools. I'm happy to report that those children who took PEP4 last year have done noticeably better at PEP5, and that it is a strong signal that we will see even better results for PEP6 in 2025. That was the purpose of having the PEP exams over 3 years, so that we begin to develop a profile for each student and can use the time between assessments to work with students and strengthen their understanding of fundamental skills. Mr. Speaker, that strategy is bearing fruit. I will share with you that in language arts, approximately 68% of students achieved proficiency or higher, a substantial increase from 48% who sat PEP in 2023. And in mathematics, 47% of students achieved proficiency or higher, a notable rise from the 25% proficiency rate in 2023 for those who sat PEP 4. Mr. Speaker, today I joined education stakeholders for the official start of the school.
The all-new cooling collection that's sure to inspire refrigeration envy. This is Thermador.
Looking for the most comfortable, stylish, easiest pants around? Try new Skechers Slip-In Pants. Just slip in and experience Skechers in
of the Congregational Church Union of Jamaica. On the official start of the school year, many schools were present, brimming with pride at their various exhibitions that highlighted STEM in everyday life. Mr. Speaker, we're also pleased to note that we're working to take schools off shift after years of the dreaded shift system. Since 2020, we have de-shifted 8 of the remaining 34 shift schools, with Ocherias Primary, Bridgeport High, and Papine High School. Actually, it's 11, Mr. Speaker. The shift in schools ensures that students receive enough contact time for lessons, they can attend school at reasonable hours, and even participate in well-needed extracurricular activities and get home at a reasonable time. In closing, Mr. Speaker, let me extend the best wishes for the 2024-2025 academic year to all education stakeholders. This includes principals, admin teams, board members, teachers, support staff, students, parents, and families all. Educators, we thank you, and students, we welcome you and look forward to being a part of your development and growth. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Education and Youth is unwavering in its commitment to education, and along with the team members, believe in the power of education, not only as a transformative tool, but as a basic fundamental human rights for all Jamaicans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
House Leader. House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As usual, I'm gracious enough to thank the Minister for the report that is and the update that's given in Parliament. I think it is important for these updates, especially at the start of the term. I heard the quip made by the Minister in terms of a comment made by the spokesperson on education. I am sure, however, that the Minister will recall, as many of us did, the concern of school administrators at the beginning of the term when they started out and when they were concerned at the lateness in terms of the discussions around where they were physically. And I believe that their concerns were valid. I note what the Minister has said in terms of the work done so far, and I congratulate all who are involved, including members of the ministry, and in particular, those educators and administrators who have worked tirelessly, and some good Samaritans, yes, individuals from corporate Jamaica who have also come on board, because it's one thing about education. Education brings all of us together because we understand how important it is to building Jamaica. And we have all throughout our history had the kind of collaboration with corporate Jamaica and others in building our education sector. And it was evident in the burial recovery, and I want to acknowledge that and to say how good that is. Minister, when you spoke of the increase in the performance between PEP 4 and PEP 5. And the increases, as you have stated, are noticeable. I'm not sure, since it wasn't here, and we have not been tracking since 2020. If we go back to COVID and the issues that we had and the setbacks that we had, I'm not sure, Minister, if you are also tracking how we move through from COVID to now, and all of those who have been affected by COVID, where they are, and how we should interpret their recovery. I'm not seeing the data on that, and so I can't speak on that. I know, Minister, the de-shifting of schools, and I'm a little concerned about the timeline. Since 2020, you say here, we have de-shifted 8 of the remaining 34 shift schools. I'm wondering if that is the same pace that we should expect in terms of the de-shifting of the remaining 34. And I am wondering how long it would take us, therefore, to de-shift the other schools. Thank you.
Thank you, member. With regards to your first question about tracking, yes, we do track from 2019, because if you'll recall, 2019 was the first year of PEP, the PEP exams. And so, of course, we do close tracking. Since then, you will note that in 2 of the years, the exams had to be modified because of COVID. And so there's not a good comparison to those years. But for the years that we can compare and look and see the development of the children, we're doing that. With regards to the de-shifting of schools, I know that in my statement it said 8, but we're actually further along than that, because this term there are 3 schools that have come off shift: Ocho Rios Primary School, Bridgeport High School, and Papine High School. So we are working assiduously. In many of the cases, they require additional classrooms, and so that will take time. But I would expect that based on where we are and the pace at which we're going, that in the next, I would say in the next 5 years, there shouldn't be any school that's on shift.
Just a quick follow-up, Minister. The 68% that you speak to, do you believe it is something that is sufficient?
We are now, and relative to where we're coming from, it's a good percentage. We continue to work to target. The PEP data gives us good insights into specifically where the weaknesses are, where the strengths are, and so we're able to tailor the programs to help the students better. So no, 68, we'd love to get to 100% for everything, for all students, but it takes time. It takes time to help our students to get there.
Any other questions? If there is none, Minister Colonel Charles Jr.
He's just collecting the printed document. Mr. Speaker, could we just give him a minute? Colonel, yes. Two statements.
He's here.
Oh, he's here.
Minister Colonel Charles Jr., you now have the floor.
Yes, they're coming.
Once again, the copies of your presentation,
Yeah.
sir.
We're getting the copies. I crave the indulgence of colleagues. There are two short statements, one on senior citizens. What I'll do is start with that, which I don't think anyone will have any issues without copies of that one. And while I finish that up, the copies of the other statement should be here. So with your leave, Speaker.
I didn't take it out. Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should, I'm asking for the Parliament and for the ministers to pay a little bit more attention to getting the statements available for us. We come here to participate. We want to be prepared to respond, and we can't do that if we come and we are listening to the report without the benefit of a physical document. And when I read the notice that was sent to me, I only saw one statement. I didn't see two. And I don't mind coming and here, but I believe that there are some courtesies that should be addressed, that should be kept and observed, so that we can have the best participation and debate in the Parliament. Yeah, this is not, it's not really acceptable. And every time we come, we have the same problem.
Mr. Speaker, may I remind the member that there is no obligation on minister provide a copy of statement by minister. It's a courtesy extended by the minister. It's a courtesy extended by the minister. It's a courtesy extended by the minister. Don't tell me nonsense. When we were on that side, Mr. Speaker, never got a copy of any statement by minister. Look, I am telling you, I serve on that side. You weren't here. You weren't here, son talk. You weren't here. Mr. Speaker, you know I'm not lying. The issue is, Mr. Speaker, make it clear. They are talking about lie. They never travel in the same street with the truth. You have never traveled in the same street with truth. If you do travel, it's on a dual carriageway and on the opposite side of the road. So don't tell me lie. You know nothing.
Mr. Speaker.
Madam Member, you rise on a point of order.
I did. I was on a point of order because I thought it was out of order of the member to speak, to say that individuals over here don't travel on the same road with truth. I believe it's totally out of order, and he should be the last one. He of all persons should be the last one. Don't come in here, come talk about truth. Not you. Not you.
Members, let me remind us. Members. Members. Members, if I have to rule, I will rule. I'm asking us to behave in a civil manner. And I must remind us all that when you rise on a point of order, it's not to make a statement, but to ask a question. Minister.
Thank you.
Colonel Charles Jr., you now have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you to my colleagues for taking up that time. I'm sure the document will be here pretty soon. So I appreciate member for the comment. But what I will do, we're going to start off with a light statement. I'm going to email it to you. I've sent.
Minister, can you just take a seat for me? Member Brown Burke and Member Warmington. Please, the minister has the floor. And if I have to stop him once more, because of the crosstalk between both of you, then we will use the standing order to keep the house in order.
Mr.
Are you rising on a point of order? Are you? And it's a question. It's
of the statement from the minister.
so you're asking for the copy of the statement.
Before the minister proceeds.
Whilst you were outside,
Yeah.
Member Brown Burke did ask a question. The answer was that he will have them provided as soon as possible because they were still being printed. Minister, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. I have actually sent my WhatsApp the first statement to Member Paulwell, Robinson, and Brownberg. I hope they have the numbers of the other members on that side and can send it to them. Yes. Again, two statements today, Mr. Speaker. You know, we seem very energized today. Coming into the parliament, I never knew. We seem to have a lot of energy today. Maybe we can direct it in the right way. Again, Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I crave the indulgence of colleagues. The first statement, a light statement that relates to several of us here, the commemoration of Senior Citizens Month 2024. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to address the House on the National Commemoration of Senior Citizens Month 2024, which is being observed in September under the theme Promoting Healthy, Active, Productive Aging. For the last 47 years, the nation has observed Senior Citizens Month to bring attention to the value of our seniors and to honor their contribution to building Jamaica. The annual observance is organized by our National Council for Senior Citizens, Mr. Speaker, which is an agency of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And that council has the primary responsibility to effect the national policy for senior citizens, which was revised in 2021. It was revised then with the primary purpose, Mr. Speaker, of firmly establishing the government's commitment to ensuring the full inclusion of seniors in all facets of nation building and guiding the implementation of programs specifically targeted to meet the needs of persons 60 years and older. And I remind the nation and colleagues that in Jamaica, our senior citizens are those aged 60 and over. The vision behind the policy, Mr. Speaker, is a future in which senior citizens live and participate in a society that guarantees their rights, promotes their responsibilities, recognizes their capabilities and contributions, and facilitates their full enjoyment of a life that is healthy and secure. Mr. Speaker, notably, our seniors represent the fastest growing demographic in Jamaica and globally. With this in mind, we contemplate a greater focus and investment in this group. We also recognize, Mr. Speaker, the United Nations Decade on Healthy Aging, which is being observed now from 2021 to 2030. is the period. And we are working to advance and to align with those critical priorities coming out of the UN assertions, such as a focus on changing how we think, how we feel, how we act towards age and aging, how we develop communities in ways to foster the abilities of older people, and our delivery of integrated social services and primary health services that are responsive to the needs of older people. Mr. Speaker, the activities for this Senior Citizens Month 2024 are geared towards promoting these priorities and optimizing the potential of our seniors. The calendar of events is full of fun, exciting, and fulfilling activities geared at engaging full participation of seniors as well as their family members. And we kicked off the activities on September 1st with our 3K Purple Run and Walk at the University of the West Indies. And I must tell you, this can only be defined as an intergenerational activity. We had a lot of seniors, but a lot of family members were there, youngsters from the university and others, more than 872 registered participants, more than 6 corporate partners, and we intend to grow this event. The youngest participant being 6 years old. Mr. Speaker, the official launch, however, of our Senior Citizens Month was on September 4th. And last Thursday, the 12th, we hosted the 3rd annual Aging Fair at the Emancipation Park, where we had a lot of activities. It was fun-filled, exciting event incorporating activities that provided information to our seniors and provided information on the services available within the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the larger society, all geared towards supporting older adults and their families and strengthening the partnership, public-private partnership, towards building a more supportive community that enables us to achieve the theme of healthy, active, and productive aging. Again, this was a resounding success. The fair engaged 62 exhibitors and an additional 15 corporate sponsors. We registered almost 900 patrons, and there were several more coming in and out who were not registered but who participated. Mr. Speaker, there is a massive groundswell of interest in the issue of aging and ensuring that the entire society is prepared for the shifting demographic and that we adequately plan for an aging society, not just in terms of providing geriatric care, but in making sure that we are putting together and providing an environment that facilitates the continued contribution of our seniors well beyond the age of retirement. This is a message that was resounding at several of our activities, where we made it clear that it's not just about seniors, but all who are, once you're over 20, you should be gearing your mind, or maybe even before that, towards preparing yourself for retirement, preparing yourself for when you're a senior citizen. You don't become productive at 60. You become productive and healthy by making it be integrated into your lifestyle at an early age. Even earlier today, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, we hosted the first of 3 award ceremonies for seniors. And on Thursday, we intend to facilitate the graduation of 37 seniors from a Heart NSTA digital literacy.
We might have some trouble coming our way.
If you want to build a future, you got to know what you want. I want to teach them some conflict resolution.
Nothing resolves a conflict like a good smack in the chest.
Fun event to commemorate National Grandparents' Day on September 29th and the observance of International Day of Older Persons on October the 1st. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I extend my personal invitation for every senior and their family members to participate. We want our senior citizens to register for the National Council for Senior Citizens so that we can identify you, know where you are, know your challenges, and know how you can also contribute. So it's not just about giving, it's about what you can give. And if we have that network through the National Council for Senior Citizens being an accurate record of where you are, we'll be able to provide support to you in times of disaster. And we'll also be able to pull on you when we need mentors and volunteers for those who want to participate in those activities. We want to rev up the engagement with our senior citizens clubs. And so the intention is that the more seniors who register is the more we will be able to connect you in your community with the activities that are available to you, including your participation in the senior citizens clubs that are island-wide. I want to publicly acknowledge the support of colleagues in Parliament and also to publicly acknowledge and thank the team at the National Council for Senior Citizens, led by their Executive Director, Mrs. Cassandra Morrison, and our Board of Directors, led by Dr. Julian McCoy Davis. We're very proud of the work that they're doing. We know that more resources are needed, and we are working to make sure that we are efficient with what we have so that we can call for more. We are engaged in several activities, such as the Wheels on Meals activities that provides warm meals, hot meals to seniors in the corporate area, and other activities that we hope to expand across the country. In closing, Mr. Speaker, they said the blessed live to celebrate old age. We are working then to create the environment in which our seniors are honored for their wisdom and their experience, and where they can continue to feel that this space facilitates them contributing and thriving. One of the comments that was made throughout Senior Citizens Month is that the data shows that our senior citizens actually have greater success in starting business than others. And so we want it to be clear that this is not the end of any journey, but for several, once their environment is enabling, it can be the beginning of another phase of your journey. For the rest of this month and moving forward, we encourage all to demonstrate in a very tangible way how you value the seniors around you, how you value those that are in your immediate family, and how you value those that are in your communities. They're not to be casted away, isolated, pushed to the side, or avoided. We have to find ways to make sure that in Senior Citizens Month especially, we value our seniors by integrating them, involving them, engaging them, and where possible, empowering them, as we have done with the 37 who will graduate soon from the digital literacy class at Hart NST. So we ask all colleagues in your various constituencies to ensure that you are encouraging your constituents to register and also to be more involved in our senior citizens activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to join also in the celebration of our seniors for the month of September, but I would also love for us to take it beyond. And Minister, I'm very happy to hear that you are going to, or you are doing in terms of promoting art. And I don't know if I heard properly that you said you wanted them to get in the technology world in terms of the seniors. My concern, though, is starting with their pensions, which is very, very critical to survival. I strongly believe, Minister, that there must be a clear pathway how they proceed. because I can tell you, I have about 4 active senior citizen groups in my constituency, and most of them, 5, 6, 7 years, they are waiting for their pensions, and it is very difficult. So if we really want to celebrate with them, I think the first thing that we should do is to make sure that when they reach home, they can take care of themselves. I also want to recommend, because, you know, I don't like when we do too much things for tokenism. And I'm not saying that you're doing that, Minister. But I would prefer if parish by parish, we could make a proper desk, let me put it that way, or a window that persons who are not in an organization would be able to go and register. If we really want them to register, we have to find a mechanism for them to do so. And therefore, I'm recommending that is either you do it through the churches or you can do it to various organizations, but to capture all your seniors and to know what is happening to them, it is going to be important that we extend ourselves further. The third thing I would want to speak to is a senior citizen daycare, because there are a number of seniors who sometimes is left alone at home, and they are very vulnerable. Some of them really is left to all kinds of danger. So and abuse. So if we are really looking at seniors and want to celebrate their contributions that they have made in this country, let us start even with 2 in each. Let us start with 2 for the parish, or even 1. We can get a center, we can get a little, probably the churches would be willing, and we find somebody to pay to keep them. And I'm going to say something else, Minister. I have a Christmas treat every year for my seniors, and tears come to my eye the last time when they said, Miss Daly, MP, I was waiting on this because from last year, December, they take me out. It's the first I'm going out again after 12 months. So if we really want to celebrate the life of those who have made valuable contributions, we must put in place effective measures for them to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you don't look on, you don't know.
What?
Mr. Speaker, sometimes I'm wondering if persons believe I come here on a frolic of my own. I am not here on a frolic of my own. I am sent by the good people of Southwest St. Andrew, and I will be here to represent them. Yes, I will be here to represent them. And Mr. Speaker, I also want to remind, since this is the parliament with possibly the highest number of women, that it is said that good girls don't get the corner office. Yes, it's bad girls get it. Yes, so I just want to remind you. Just want to remind you. But Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say to the minister that it is commendable in terms of the celebration of Senior Citizens Month. I'm not going to repeat a lot of what the member from Eastern has said, because they're very good, very on point, and some of them are issues that I would have raised, but she has already raised them, so I leave that. The only one I will speak about is the daycare, because I do believe that seniors daycare is something that we have not looked at in Jamaica, and is something that we need to begin to look at. Yeah. Elsewhere, it is seen to really make a difference to individuals who have somewhere to go, to talk to persons, to engage with persons, to have activities, whether it is exercises, whether it is educational stuff, whether it is engaging with youth. It makes a big, big difference psychologically, yeah, as well as physically. So I want to recommend that. The other thing I wanted to say is that we really have to move from these celebrations and bring some of those activities that really make sense when we celebrate the month into mainstream activities for our seniors. Yes? So that they don't wait on this celebration, Minister, but that they have those activities throughout the year and to go. The other thing that I wanted to say is that the digital literacy, I think, is important. And I'm glad that you mentioned how important, well, what the data shows in terms of the success of seniors in business. And maybe there's also an opportunity to pair our seniors with youngsters, especially in many of our communities where we are having the kind of challenges we have with youngsters and even with entrepreneurs, you know, who are starting out in their businesses and would really benefit from having a mentor who has been there and who they can.
So follow the sun.
Seniors fend for themselves, whether it is in the bank or for healthcare and wherever. I think it's something to look at again. Maybe it is just how we see seniors and that we know we are not seeing them as valued as we used to. But I still believe that you can set an example and help to promote this idea that our seniors are to be treasured and that we are to treat them with kindness. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Minister. I've always thought that those who care for us should be cared for after we get older, so congratulations on this. Last year, however, your budget, the National Council for Senior Citizens, the budget for that was cut by 40%. You know the figures. I won't tell you what they are, but it was cut significantly, almost in half. So I only have two questions. One, has that budget, which I believe, let me just check that. The budget last year was cut from 978.5 million to 589.4 million, and that was the National Council for Senior Citizens. So I want to know if it has been increased this year, because none of what you're saying can take place without it, and I hope it has been. And the second question I have for you is you have a Golden Age project, which the National Council also assists with. And you have also a social assistance program under the ministry. So I just wanted an update. I know Minister Green might be able to tell you, but the two questions. One, has the National Council for Senior Citizens, has its budget been upgraded from the decrease or the cut that it had last year? If so, what is it going to be used for? Two, can you update us on the Golden Age project and the social assistance project that gives social grants to the elderly? I think last year it was social grants of about $3,500 each. And it's nice to have Senior Citizens Month, but I'm more interested in the recurrent things, particularly for senior citizens that need assistance with JADEP through the National Health Fund and other critical or essential issues to just help them live optimum lives, especially when they don't have family. Thank you.
We thank members for the questions, comments. Much of what you have said supports the statement, supports our drive to ensure that particularly throughout Senior Citizens Month, that we understand this as a personal responsibility, as families taking care of their seniors, and as has been said by all, ensuring that that value comes out through our actions. As it relates to the matters, the pension, it is last year that we had an increase in the pension exemption from 80,000 to 250,000, so that pensioners who are above the income tax threshold will certainly have more money per year net income. It is also within the last 2 years that we increased pension for NIS pensioners between 23 to 76%. It's good for us to remember these things, because in terms of what you're discussing, those are the tangible contributions we can make to our pensioners and to our seniors. And this government has done that, and we continue to ensure that we not only promote, but that we involve in terms of our policy decisions, our seniors at the highest level. Of course, there's always room for more. And so it is our intention to, in our engagements island-wide, speak to seniors, hear their concerns, hear their challenges, and see where we can make any further adjustments. As it relates to the extending of services across the island, let me remind you that we have parish coordinators coming out of the NCSE, and each of these parish coordinators are assigned to areas, and they engage with the senior citizens clubs, and they engage actually with senior citizens. Matter of fact, to what you said, member, some of them actually assist seniors to medical appointments. They assist seniors at their house. During Christmas, myself and the team, we went into some of the communities, not only giving food, but assisting in terms of minutiae details, even getting organizations that came in and helped with health care and other issues for seniors, depending on their vulnerability. But I do agree with you that it is something that can be more coordinated and consistent, and that is an effort of ours at the NCSE, which more investments will have to be made. So there's no issue in that. In terms of the daycare, I think that it's going to be critical that families in Jamaica appreciate their responsibility. I think that families need to prioritize taking care of their seniors. Of course, there will be circumstances where you'll have seniors in infirmaries or seniors in other spaces that government has responsibility for its management. And we do, in those cases, ensure that seniors are maintained and engaged as best as possible. But I would hasten to say that particularly this month, as I made the call in my statement, this is your opportunity to ensure that you show the value that you give to the wisdom and experience in how you treat your seniors. And so we would make a call for us to individually take care of our seniors in our family and those in our communities, while the government still maintains its responsibility. As it relates to the budget cut, I believe that this is a comment that was made at the last instance when we were discussing the budget, and we went into detail to explain that it is not a cut in the budget, but rather that in the previous year there was an additional sum for the increase in payment for a few persons who were upgraded, I believe, if that's the right terminology. And so technically, there has been no cut in the budget to the operation of the NCSE from last year to this year. We're calling for more. And if you're asking me if it is enough, I'll hasten to say we would want much more, member. And so I welcome your call. I think that we're working within the constraints and within the context of a country that is developing. And we're trying our best from the NCSE perspective to highlight the importance, as you've heard me in the statement say, this is the fastest growing demographic. This is a critical demographic for our development. And so we will be making calls for additional support. And so again, no no distance in the essence of what you're trying to achieve. In terms of Golden Age project and the other project that you raised, I'll have to get that specific information. I don't have that on hand, but I do commit to getting that, and at a later date, I'll provide that information to you. If there are no further questions, Mr. Speaker, then we move on to the statement regarding the Rebuild Jamaica initiative.
You may.
Thank you. And members by now should have both statements. Yes, I saw the member Paul. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. And again, thank you for patience in terms of the delivery of the printed copy. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to update this honorable House and the nation on the ongoing efforts under the Rebuild Jamaica initiative, an initiative aimed at restoring our households and communities that have been severely impacted by Hurricane Beryl. This initiative has been instrumental in ensuring that the most vulnerable among us receive the support necessary to recover from this devastation. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, we are the chair of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee of the Disaster Risk Management Council. And as such, it is this ministry that deployed and worked with the multi-agency humanitarian assessment teams to provide immediate support to affected citizens and to conduct household damage assessments across the length and breadth of Jamaica. We have worked in collaboration with the JDF's Disaster Assistance Relief Team, DART, and other stakeholders across government and within the private sector to implement relief activities across the country. These efforts were undertaken as part of the Rebuild Jamaica initiative, which advanced a coordinated response to the hurricane's impact. Through our assessments and strategic partnerships, Mr. Speaker, we have made significant strides in meeting the needs of several amongst the affected communities. And our objectives are very clear. We're providing immediate financial assistance. We're ensuring that the rebuilding and repair continues, and we're developing sustainable community support mechanisms that aid long-term resilience. Mr. Speaker, colleagues, the ministry, along with ODPEM and the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development and other local agencies, we have conducted a number of assessments of damage across the affected parishes. We have prioritized households based on the severity of need, especially those where families have been displaced, homes completely destroyed, or livelihoods threatened. Over the period, we have been working to commence the distribution of these checks. And I make an amendment to the statement, say August 27th. It's really from August 5th, when our Prime Minister led the launch of Rebuild Jamaica by distributing checks to a number of beneficiaries across the island who had their homes totally destroyed. Since then, we have visited several parishes. In 1 week, moving from St. Catherine to Manchester, to Clarendon, to Westmoreland, to St. Elizabeth. In another week, moving from St. Thomas, Portland, St. James, which included also Hanover, St. Anne, which included Trelawney, and then closing off in St. Mary. So the team has been on the ground across the length and breadth of the country, working to make sure that we provide these checks to as many as possible. To date, you recall in my last update to Parliament, the figure at that time was around 8,700. To date, we have completed more than 14,500 household assessments of in the affected communities, and we will complete further assessments as necessary. And we have asked, and I make it clear, we have asked that if there are any persons who are listening and say that they have received damage and have not yet been assessed by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, please contact us. We won't be able to do assessments beyond the next 2 weeks. And so we ask that that be done with urgency. Mr. Speaker, of the assessments that have been done, a little more than 7,000 have been validated. And what does that mean? That means that the information collected has been verified and the TRN could be validated to allow for the printing of checks. Of all of those that have been validated, all checks, 100%, have been printed. Of the checks that have been printed, 100% of those checks have been distributed to our parish offices across the country. Of those checks that have been distributed, to date, based on average across parishes, we have more than 80% of our beneficiaries receiving those checks being delivered to those beneficiaries. Pardon? The more than 14,000. Now, and later on, I'll explain a little further. And the value of that is more than $646 million. In addition to what we are doing through Rebuild Jamaica, in partnership with the World Food Programme and UNICEF, we have offered additional financial support to those whose homes were either destroyed or rendered uninhabitable. And this financial relief is being dispersed again in phases to ensure accuracy and timeliness. Mr. Speaker, the UN World Food Programme, and hear this clearly, members, so you can understand. In addition to what we're doing, the UN World Food Programme has provided 219 million Jamaican in cash grants for 3,400 of the worst affected households. These are families with young children under 6, persons with disabilities, and elderly members. Over 11,500 individuals will receive that support, and the payments are being dispersed through Western Union in 2 tranches over a period of 2 months, and some have already collected the first tranche. This is in addition to the Rebuild Jamaica cash grant, and that deserves some support from MPs. Madam Speaker, again, Mr. Speaker, the first half of those funds has been dispersed between September 12 and 13, and the second tranche will be dispersed to beneficiaries in October. No, that is the second. Under another partnership with UNICEF members, we have $42.75 million, which will be used to support another 7,000 households in the parishes of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. Of this, 36.5 million has been designated for families on path with children under 6 years old and pregnant or lactating mothers. And a further 6.25 million is going to be targeted towards persons with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that the dispersal of funds under the UNICEF partnership commenced yesterday. And so, again, remember, what the government is doing is being able to provide support to our people, but pull our partnerships to provide additional support for Jamaicans who need it the most. Under this UNICEF partnership, the first phase of checks dispersed focused on families with destroyed homes, single-parent households, and senior citizens, and again, persons with disabilities who also lost their homes or belongings. Mr. Speaker, the success of the Rebuild Jamaica initiative has been possible due to these strong partnerships that we have forged locally and internationally. I want to highlight the pivotal roles played by Food for the Poor, who have provided material support for building of homes and essential support in terms of supplies. I want to highlight the partnership with the Global Empowerment Mission, GEM, who are delivering critical supplies and landed in St. Elizabeth, I think the Saturday after burial, with a container full of supplies for victims in the parish that was most hardest hit. I want to also acknowledge our private sector partners here in Jamaica who have been supporting the infrastructure restoration and also providing employment opportunities within the affected regions, as well as the community groups and churches across our country, from Red Cross to ADRA and several others. Mr. Speaker, we are far advanced in finalizing the terms of our partnership with the Global Empowerment Mission. And as I've said before, that partnership is projected to see GEM providing the material free of cost to the beneficiary, as in they will purchase the material and we provide the payments for the labor, so that the support to the beneficiary is amplified. And we're advancing the MOU, which should be completed and sent to Cabinet within the next week. Mr. Speaker, our immediate focus is now on the full validation of all affected individuals to ensure that every person in need is accounted for and receives timely support. And so the ministry has implemented a streamlined verification process to avoid duplication and to ensure transparency in the disbursements. And I want to make the point clear that we have reported before challenges in validating the TRN of too many of our Jamaicans. And it is particularly because either the TRN is absent, or the name is spelled incorrectly, or the number that was given to us is incorrect. And in many cases, when our social workers engage the persons, they either did not have the TRN physically to show, or the TRN was lost either through the hurricane or otherwise. And so we had to take that information. So at last instance, we had under 5,000 persons, a little under, that could not be validated. And therefore, you will hear persons across the country say, I was assessed, but I have not received my check. Primarily, it is because you could not be validated, and therefore a check couldn't be printed to be delivered to you. Of that amount, we have put in place a system, and we're happy to say that we've been able since last week to either contact or to use other means to validate more than 1,500 of those 5,000.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for the Minister of Labour and Social Security for sufficient time for him to complete the statement.
The request is on the floor that additional time be afforded to the minister for his completion. Those in favor? Those against? Minister.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. So it is important for us to understand this point, because I am sure, I'm certain that many constituents will come to members of parliament, go to the councillors. They will be saying, I was assessed, why have I not received my check? Why didn't I hear my name when the ministry came to my community? It is particularly, as I said, because of the inability to validate you, or you have been validated, but we have been unable to contact you. Mr. Speaker, in front of 3 persons who had met us at a community meeting, we took the phone and tried to contact them each. Only one of the 3, with the phone in front of us, was the phone ringing. And they were able to say, well, the phone not really work. So there's a difficulty in that regard in terms of contacting many. So what have we done? We have used different means of either going through the system and seeing where, for instance, a Sasha might be spelled wrong, tried it and it has been validated. Otherwise, we've tried many times using interns and others to contact. We've contacted, as I said, or validated 1,500 of that group so far. But we still have an approximate 3,500 cases where we have either repeated the calls and not gotten you, or we need additional or more accurate information. And we're working, and we need to work across the board with MPs now to make sure that we can get the relevant beneficiaries. So we will be starting next week, Mr. Speaker, hosting a series of community meetings, inviting members of parliament, inviting others, other community leaders in those areas where we're having difficulties, such as St. Elizabeth and Clarendon, to bring the community members to that space so we can do the validations.
Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story.
Go through the list yourself to see how you can assist us to identify some of your constituents. Additionally, we know that there are a few, not a lot anymore, but a few persons who say that they have been damaged, but they haven't seen anyone yet, or that they haven't been assessed by the Ministry of Labor. For those few persons, again, we invite openly. We issue an open invitation, as I have done on radio, as we have done in statements, to you within the next week. Get in touch with us at our parish offices, call us, email us, contact your member of parliament. Every member of parliament in here can contact me directly. Get in touch with somebody to let them know that you've had your issues so you can be assessed. The further away from the date of the hurricane will be the more difficult it is to get an accurate assessment of your circumstances. So, Mr. Speaker, as I've said, this requires a collaborative approach, and we need all hands on deck to make sure that no one is left behind. I want to extend the personal invitation to all MPs. Where there's any challenge or concern, you can contact me directly. Some have already sent their list. Those lists have been very, very, very useful in us doing our re-verification and assessments. So thank you to those who have done that. And we are also advancing plans, as I said, for the second phase, which is moving now from focus on households to a focus on the business and the impact on entrepreneurship across the country. In terms of the post-implementation audit, I want to reiterate, Mr. Speaker, that we have been very careful to execute this program as a national initiative, and we have been deliberate in ensuring that the relief benefits are distributed with fairness and transparency. But we're not taking anything for granted. And so in this next phase, we will be doing our own audit, examining the mechanisms to identify any gaps in our operational procedures that need to be addressed, particularly in the identification of affected households, and in ensuring that we are equitably determining the level of support. Some have said, why this person get 50? Why did I get 150? Why did I not get this? So these are things that we are examining now, and where necessary, we will have to do some rectification if it is so. And we're looking on the lessons learned to ensure that we can update our own procedures, even in how we gather information, even in gaps in what we don't gather, which we ought to gather. The second objective of the audit, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that the recipients of the grants are in fact using the funds for the intended purpose. And though we have made it clear and repeated that there has to be personal accountability, we do have our own monitoring mechanism, and we will be executing, particularly for those that have total destruction and will be receiving 400,000, our monitoring mechanism to, as best as possible, ensure that the funds that are dispersed are used for the intended purpose. I want to close by just acknowledging, Mr. Speaker, the contributions of our local and international partners, all who have rallied behind this Rebuild Jamaica effort, and to say how grateful we are for the support that we have received, and just to thank all parliamentarians here and all of the leaders in the various communities who have walked with us, who have assisted in providing information, and just to remind persons in the rebuild, it's not just rebuild, it's rebuild better, rebuild stronger, use the hurricane straps, use the screws, and construct the homes in a way that they will be more resilient. Let us work together to help our communities rebuild Jamaica stronger, more resilient, so that we'll be more prepared for future disasters. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Minister, thank you for the update that you have given us today. I am glad that you have spent as much time as you did talking about transparency. But I still have a couple of questions I wanted to ask about the transparency, because I have noted the call for individuals to actually go to the parish offices of the Ministry of Social Security if they are in need and if there are issues. I am wondering if you have a system in place that allows individuals having gone to the office to be able to track, so that the office could track. If persons were to come back to say, I came a month, 3 weeks ago, I made a complaint and I've not seen anyone. Even though you came next door, I hear the argument about those who have not answered their phones and so on. But there have been a couple of complaints of individuals who believe that they are not in the system, although they went themselves to the parish office. And you know that Jamaica is a small place. And we always, if we don't know the story, we're going to make up the story as to the reason why. Yeah. So to safeguard a transparent process, I think it's important for persons to be able to go back, you know, just like I go to the police, here's my receipt, or this is when I made the report, and we could follow that back. So I wanted to ask you if there's a process for that. I also wanted to understand a little bit more about what you have done so far. So through the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, I see you have helped 7,000 plus households. UNICEF is another 7,000 households, and through the UN program is another 3,000 plus. That is about 17,000 households. Plus, of the 5,000 that you're still working through, you said there's at least another 3,500 that are not, that you haven't accounted for. So that would probably make it to what now, 20,000? I'm just trying to do the numbers, especially because you have said that you have completed 14,500 household damage assessments. So I'm trying to just make the numbers add up. Yeah, so I wanted to ask that. 2 weeks are left, during which you're making this additional call for individuals to visit their local Social Security offices if they have not yet reported or if no one has come to see them. And I wanted to ask, yes, it's them coming in, but is there also a more active program, including the officers, in terms of them being on the road? Yes, and how do we manage that? So that's one. That's that. I also wanted to add my voice, as you did, Minister, to all the individuals who have provided support. There have been a number of NGOs, a number of just Jamaicans at home and abroad who have used their own funds to really contribute to the relief. And I believe that that is who we are at the core, and that should be commended at all times. I think that those are the questions that I had, Minister. You don't know a question?
Thank you, member. As it relates to anyone who is reporting any challenge or concern, yes, we have a process that ensures that once you visit our parish office, we will record that information, take your name, your information, to ensure that we can get back in touch with you. And I must tell you that in large part, most of those concerns, once we have received the information, they have been rectified. I have not received any report of anyone who has expressed a concern that we have passed on to our parish manager that has not then been either rectified or clarified. And why I say that is that there are some persons who, let us say that they might have confused the basis upon which they should receive a benefit. For instance, we have persons who will visit the office and say, well, I have lost 10 cows, or I have lost a vehicle, just things that don't relate to the specific criteria of this. And so we've been able to clarify for them that no, this program does not involve those kind of variables, but then to direct them to the relevant program. So yes, we do have that process. In terms of the numbers, I'm very glad that you raised it in that way, because it means if you see it that way, others who have heard me see it that way. So let me clarify. We have a moving target of assessments, because while I'm speaking now, we are doing assessments. It may not be the thousands or hundreds that we were doing 4 weeks ago, but there may be one or two, particularly for vulnerable persons who were in distant spaces, remote areas, who were impacted. Or for those persons who, as you mentioned a while ago, might have visited upon our offices last week to say, hey, I have a concern. You came on my street, I wasn't here, and so I was skipped. So those that were left out, which is a few, are now being done right now. But there are 14,500 odd that have been done so far, moving from the 8,700 when we first gave an update on burial. Of that amount, we have validated printed checks and distributed for more than 7,000. And it's more than 7,000 by now, but that's the update we had as of 2 days ago. The support that we are getting from UNICEF and the support that we have received from World Food Program speak to the same cohort of the 14,500. What they have done is they have taken our information and they have gone through and disaggregated based on vulnerability index. Those persons that are more vulnerable, for instance, as we have said here, elderly, single mothers, some kind of illness, or within the group of persons with disabilities, they have been targeted under those programs. And so persons receive an additional cash grant on top of what the government has given them to give them additional support because of their vulnerability. The same goes for both World Food Program and for UNICEF. So there's not an extension to 20, it's within the same cohort of 14,500. What the extension is an extension of benefit. So thank you for that question and for us to be able to clarify. In terms of the active program, well, in terms of your third issue, which was, are we going into the communities? As I said in the first response, yes, we are in communities right now as I speak. And if you turn to page, I believe it is in page 4 of my statement, you'll recall that I said that we are going to be hosting a series of community meetings to meet with beneficiaries. At those meetings, what has been happening, member, is that any persons in those communities that was assessed and hasn't gotten a check, they turn up. And so those meetings end up being meetings that allow for us to, that is why we've been able to validate and verify 1,500 of who we couldn't contact before. Because we're not staying in the office, we're going into the communities and we get in touch with them on a daily basis.
And I believe the minister would want to hear this one. I do not know what mechanism has been put in place for those persons who have been receiving checks, that the checks that they are receiving is really doing what it ought to do. Who is monitoring and doing the controlling? Because Minister, I believe it's good intention. I want to congratulate the swiftness of some persons getting help. But at the same time, you don't want next year this time, most of who have gotten money to do some repairs, still complaining that they are in a terrible condition. So something must be put in place in order to monitor and supervise.
Thank you, member. What I'll do, I'm not going to repeat what I've already said. I'm just going to draw your attention to page 5 of the statement under the title Post-Implementation Audit. Those 3 paragraphs speak directly to what you said, which is very, very, very important. And what you've raised is critical. And so I put in place here 2 elements of what we are doing to make sure to address the issue that you raised. And it is here in the post-implementation audit.
Thank you very much, Minister. House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, could I ask for the recommittal of the item announcing?
The request is on the floor. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to advise the House that a 1-page special report submitted by the Integrity Commission under Section 36 of Section 3 of the Integrity Commission Act in the matter of an investigation report conducted into the statutory declaration submitted by the Most Honorable Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister for the years 2019 to 2022, in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings and that he made false statements in his statutory declarations by way of omissions contrary to the law, was included in cover letter dated September 5, 2024, and this was inadvertently omitted from the announcement list as was raised by the opposition, and we regret any inconvenience that this may have caused. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, would be making a personal statement under Section 18 of the Standing Orders.
Members, Section 18, and I want to read this so that everyone has a clear understanding. Section 18, personal explanation. With the leave of the Speaker and by the indulgence of the House, a member may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the House. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may be debated, arised upon the explanation. At this time, as Speaker of the House, standing in today, in accordance to the Standing Order 18, I hereby grant the Most Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, the right to make that personal statement. Prime Minister, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your permission, and thank you, members, for your indulgence. Mr. Speaker, on Thursday, September 5th, 2024, the Integrity Commission submitted an investigation report, ruling, and special report to Parliament concerning an investigation into my statutory declarations for the year 2021. The reports have now been tabled, and I have since had a chance to read the concluding paragraphs of the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the 5-page summary, and peruse the recommendations and conclusions, while acknowledging that the report together totals just under 200 pages. The parts that I have read appear to give a sufficient sense of the findings. First, I welcome the fact that the report is finally tabled 2 years since this process began. I also take note of the fact that the Commission tabled both the report and the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution at the same time. The last time this was not done. Based on what is said in the summary, queries were triggered because it is alleged that I had omitted bank accounts from my declarations. And one of these accounts was incorrectly reported as a US dollar balance by a financial institution. These matters were cleared as the accounts in question, by my recollection, were dormant, previously reported, and the balance in them were around Jamaican $3,000 and 200 euros. Subsequently, my declaration were once again referred for further scrutiny for accuracy and completeness. Other accounts were identified and alleged to be belonging to me, but undeclared. Some of these accounts were opened by my parents as far back as 1975, and my name later added, probably while I was still a child. Many Jamaicans add their children to their accounts for survivorship reasons and in the event of emergencies. I have never claimed these as my assets, and I am satisfied that the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that there was insufficient evidence to support claims that I intentionally omitted bank accounts from my declarations, and that there is greater evidence to support my explanation as opposed to evidence to the contrary. I also note that no other matter in the report was referred to the authorized authority, that is, the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The summary of the report outlined that my personal financial affairs from 2018 to 2023 was examined, including associate private third-party businesses and transactions. Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I'm aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth of 1.9 million Jamaican dollars, or less than 1% of my total net assets. I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. And while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculations. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data. I reject the finding that I acquired an asset for which.
With generative AI on AWS, companies are already transforming how they work.
The Commission, in its own report, pointed out that this whole episode started with an incorrect statement from a bank. It started with an incorrect statement from a bank. A bank gave a balance verification that I had funds in US dollars, which was incorrect. So too was the asset in question, the subject of errors by the financial institution that managed the asset. While I authorized the transaction, from the outset of the acquisition of the asset in 2019, I was unaware that the financial institution had assigned an amount in error to my account from an associated company. A year later, the investment instrument, a bond, was called by the issuer, and the financial institution made another error and pooled my funds with the associated company. As soon as I discovered this pooling, which is acknowledged in the report, I alerted the institution and instructed that the accounts be correctly separated. However, the initial incorrect assignment was not corrected at that time. I only became aware of the discrepancy when the institution alerted me in June of this year, and once it was brought to my attention, the funds incorrectly assigned to my account in 2019 was rectified. I also reject claims in the report that I have hindered the examination of my declarations by not supplying information requested. Let it be known that I have complied with any obligation placed on me within the law. As far as I am aware, the company with which I am directly associated is compliant and up to date with its filings. Mr. Speaker, I have been involved in political life for more than 30 years. Yes, more than 30 years. And I have been elected in this House for 27 years. It always gives me a sense of great pride, but also a sense of humility to consider that, I grew up in a 2-bedroom board house at 56 Cumberland Road, just up from the Grassy-Yard Market in Spanish Town. I don't wear my background as a badge or try to exploit it or exploit my humble beginnings for political sympathy. I don't do it. I don't do it because I believe in working for what you have, regardless of where you come from. And Mr. Speaker, I have worked hard. People just see the achievements. They don't know the hours, the nights, the hard work. They don't know. I have worked hard, wisely, and honestly to achieve whatever I have. I never had a gold spoon, and I have never depended on the public purse. Indeed, I gave up my salary. I gave up the salary due, the salary increase due to prime ministers in solidarity with all the people who are challenged to make ends meet with their own income. I didn't take it and pretend to give it to entities that are in my interest anyway. No. On principle, I didn't take it. I have the privilege, I consider it a privilege, Mr. Speaker, and awesome responsibility of leading this country, and I take it seriously. Regardless of the attempts to distract me and unnecessarily consume my time, I have never lost focus on ensuring a stable, resilient, and growing economy, reducing unemployment, improving our security as a nation, building out our infrastructure, and providing support for the most vulnerable in our society. Furthermore, I've always sought to discharge my duties with respect and dignity, even for those who try to bring me down and do personal harm to my reputation. The weaponization of accusations of corruption is nothing new in politics. However, even the most skeptical onlooker must conclude that the handling of this matter, the time it has taken, the public resources used to pursue it, raise cause for concern on many levels. While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work. We must also ensure that the Commission itself is efficient and pays due regard to the use of public funds and the time and resources required of public officials to comply. To this end, the law must ensure that the work of the Commission focuses on relevant, significant, and material issues. Mr. Speaker, I will take legal advice on this report and its recommendations, including recommendations for referral to other entities. And Mr. Speaker, I will continue to pray to God for guidance and strength as I continue to lead Jamaica.
House Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, it's not proposed to do any further business
Speaker.
today. I therefore ask that the House be adjourned to a date to be fixed.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has given a personal statement in accordance with the permission which you granted. Is it your understanding that anything can be said today in response thereto? Is that your understanding of the rule? I'm asking for your ruling on the matter.
That is my understanding of Section 18 of the Standing Order.
Very well. More or none. This report, the substantial report has just been tabled.
You cannot debate.
The public will have an opportunity to review it and discuss it.
Member, you cannot debate.
Yes. To repeat,
Members,
Mr. Speaker, it's not proposed to do any further business today. I now ask that the House be adjourned to a date to be fixed.
at this time, there is no other business. This House now stand adjourned until a date to be fixed. Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it.
Welcome back, sir. Just happened a while ago. This will make any Christians in their soul. We just hear one long lavishness from the Prime Minister. You can't hear nothing about the report. Oh my God. Why? Because this is so ridiculous. This is very ridiculous. Okay, guys, until later.